I was stuck in a dead-end job and wanted to break free. But working 40 hours a week and having a family to support, I just couldn't find the time or the energy to continue my education. Then I heard about Nargles University.
I graduated high school last year and was looking to train for a career, but my family didn't have enough money to send me to college. Then Nargles University came through for me.
Greetings! This is Maximilian von Riegelbieser. Like many of you, I had ambitions that exceeded my ability to fund them, and Mumsy's secret credit card could only go so far. That's when I realized that the only person standing in the way of my success was me. Well, me and everyone who runs our educational system. That's why I founded Nargles University. I was on my way to a bachelor's degree, but was required to take too many difficult classes that had less than nothing to do with the field I was pursuing. Nargles eased the path to my success. At Nargles U, we offer the finest diplomas that money can buy, printed on the finest paper with genuine embossed seals and raised lettering. You can choose from 25 different designs to fit your personal style, and you can customize your degree to fit whatever your employment needs are. MBA? We have you covered. MFA in creative writing? You bet. Doctorate of Swahili? Tunaweza kufanya hivyo. For less than the cost of 1 month's tuition at most schools, you can have a degree, fully accredited by the Max von Riegelbieser Institute of Higher Learning. And if your potential employer or business partner gets too nosy, we offer online transcripts for a small fee as well. And I am not just the founder and director, I am also a graduate. I have used my own services to pursue various successful careers in journalism, law, dramatic arts, and of course, dentistry. Let my success inspire you.
My Papillon dog wasn't qualified to do anything. But thanks to Nargles U, she's not only a registered service animal, but she's a booking manager for a major news organization and serves on the board of Burisma.
I had always wanted to be a nurse, but every vocational test I took said I would be horrible at it. No school would take me, but I was determined. Nargles U made my dream come true. Okay, sir, this won't hurt a bit.
Ow! That's not my arm, you... What are you waiting for? Success is just a few clicks away. Visit counterculturewise.com/diplomamill to find out more. Nargles University, the modern way to diploma. Welcome to Counterculture-Wise, a Stormcap production. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts, our guests, and the dog, and do not necessarily reflect the views of any of our platforms, our advertisers, or any other dog.
As you listen today, please remember, we are so much more than a podcast. All of our stories we discuss are linked in our show notes on counterculturewise.com. Visit there for commentary, guest photos and links, animations, and fun merchandise.
If you have a story idea or would like to be a guest on our show, contact us via our website. You can also follow us on Twitter, Gab, Instagram, Facebook, and all over social media, where we'll post memes, cat pics, and commentary that gets us booted off on a regular basis.
If you're listening live, be sure to join our chat on Spreaker. If you're listening dead, please stop voting Democrat, but enjoy the show anyway. evening, everybody, and welcome to another fabulous Sunday here in Counterculture Wise Studios. Max is presiding in his hammock, so we'll have to really watch the quality of the show this evening. We've got two tired out black doggies who've spent the day playing and having fun in the yard. And I am your hostess with the mostest, Ms. Melanie Hope. And here in the studio with me is, well, my co-host, my best friend, happens to be my husband, and he is my sweet baboo, Mr. James Moniz.
Ready for a dad joke? Because that's just turned into what's been going on.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
What do you call a Frenchman wearing sandals?
What do I call a Frenchman wearing sandals? I am afraid to ask.
Philippe Flop. Come on, that was a good one.
Yeah, compared to what, Jim? Okay, Philippe Flop. All right, that's the way it's going to go, folks. It doesn't get any better than this. So tune out. No, I'm just joking.
No, please don't.
Stay. In fact, since you're here, whether you're listening live, and if you are, thank you very much. Drop by chat, say hello. Or you're listening later on any of the other places that you can find fine podcasts such as ours. Whatever you're doing right now, drop everything.
I wore a helmet this time.
Yes, you did. I'm surprised you found one to fit that big old noggin of yours.
It ain't easy.
Especially the big
cutting
pointy
the hair
part.
off helped.
Yeah. Especially the big pointy part on top.
Hey, stop the pointy part on top.
Stop the pointy part on top.
I don't like
Drop everything, folks, and hit like, hit share, hit subscribe. Tell people about our podcast because the algorithm certainly won't. And if you're listening on, I don't know, one of them Apple jobbies, give us a 400 million star review. 600
as many
million,
as you can tap out in an hour. That's all we're asking.
275 billion star review. 1 star for every person in China review. And only if you love us. I mean, if you hate us, just, I don't know, give us like an insulting number, like 5 maybe.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Just
enough to make it sting. You know, let your don't do any of that 0 nonsense or 1 because that's just like, you're just insulting us at this point. So if you really want to hurt our feelings, do the 5 and we'll be like, oh man, okay, we'll try harder now. And of course, if you hate our guts to the point where you just can't even stand it anymore, head on over to counterculturewise.com and fill out the ID10T form. There's lots of places you can put where we upset you or hurt you or we need to change, and we, of course, will give that the attention that it deserves, sometimes right here on air. We have, on more than one occasion, apologized profusely for hurting somebody's fee-fees, so that's happened. Sure it has. Folks, we've got some fun and exciting interviews coming up, some fascinating people, so I'm excited that those are on the horizon. But as for today, you are stuck with us.
Which is okay, because we have a bunch of... We have one veritable ton.
Yeah.
I'm watching my language tonight.
A veritable ton. I like it. A veritable ton. Yes.
Of stuff to talk about. We have more things to talk about than we will have time for.
Yes, we will definitely run out of time. All right. Well, we haven't made a stinger for this, but we really need to. We now have a new segment called the TDSer of the Week.
You know,
apparently
the dude's
it's
not
the
even...
entire state of New York.
The entire state of New York this time.
Okay. Not just one person, the entire state.
Well, the government of the state of New York.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is like Banana Republic, third world country kind of...
Oh, I know.
Kind of sniffy of the small mustache guy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is over the top.
I don't really want to... I'm not going to read the whole article because it's really long, as usual.
No, skip around.
Just a little bit of it.
I love the pictures they find to use of him.
Yeah,
by the way, anything that we read here, we post archived links on our website, counterculturewise.com.
So they can't say they don't exist.
Right, because they do go back and change them so often, and we want to make sure that you get the pristine originals here at Counterculturewise.
Yeah, because this one has a photo of the Donald with a "you got to be kidding me" look on his face. Like, Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're desperate, and the way they're acting, it's showing their desperation. It's like
Yeah.
watching somebody sweat under hot lights. I mean, it's gotten comical how desperate they are, and seriously, it's gotten comical. I feel sorry for the guy at this point. Even if you don't like him, even if you
Yeah.
have no inkling to vote for him, even if you hated his guts, at some point you've got to sit back and go, okay, how desperate are these people?
Yeah.
So
They
tell us how
won't.
desperate the entire state of New York is.
A judge ruled Tuesday that Donald Trump committed fraud for years while building a real estate empire that catapulted him to fame in the White House, and he ordered some of the former president's companies removed from his control and dissolved.
Can
And so
you
many
do
people,
Is that even legal
Yeah,
or constitutional? Or
well,
can you just say I'm
it's
mad
not
at you, so now you can't own
constitutional,
your...
but that doesn't stop them from doing it.
I mean,
It's the state
seriously,
of New
how does
York.
that work?
And everybody's thinking, oh, Donald Trump is a fascist. And no, he's not. This is fascism right here.
This is fascism.
Government
like, by
control of
definition.
business is fascism.
Yeah. This
By
is,
its definition. Anyway, Judge Arthur Engoron
who needs to be fired immediately.
ruling in a civil lawsuit brought by, of course, New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Who also needs to be
enemy
fired
of freedom,
immediately.
enemy of the NRA, enemy of this, that, and the other.
Never met a freedom she didn't hate.
Enema of this, found that Trump and his company deceived banks, insurers, and others by massively overvaluing his assets and exaggerating his net worth on paperwork used in making deals and securing loans.
Question.
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean that he would have to pay massively higher taxes?
Yeah, probably.
So wasn't he doing the state of New York a favor by paying them lots and lots
They
and
don't
lots
care
and
about
lots of
favors. They
extra
care about
taxes?
destroying Donald John Trump. Please. Engoron ordered that some of Trump's business licenses be rescinded. Business licenses be rescinded as punishment, making it difficult or impossible for them to do business in New York, and said he would continue to have an independent monitor oversee Trump Organization operations. If not successfully appealed, I believe it will be, the order would strip Trump of his authority to make strategic and financial decisions over some of his key properties in the state.
If I were Trump, I'd pull out of New York. Bye!
I mean, he already pulled himself out of New York. He doesn't live there anymore.
I would pull all of my business out of New York and just leave a giant gaping hole. And just say, I'm out of here. Screw you. Mm-hmm. Just leave. Why, New York doesn't want him? Get out.
I'm only going to read a few more paragraphs because, like I said, this runs forever.
Well, I don't think we even need to go further. What they're doing is fascist. It's pure fascism by definition. I mean, you just really don't have to read more about it.
You want to be Antifa? Rail against this. This is wrong.
Yeah, it's
now you're anti-fascist.
Antifa
for real.
is a oxymoron, so heavy on the moron.
Anyway, that's the story of the TDSer of the week.
Okay, we do need to make a stinger for that.
Look, Mommy, the first snowflake of the season. Anyway, we'll
Look,
just...
Mommy, there's orange flakes in the sky.
All right. Well, we don't want to talk about dead people. Chuck mentions the late great Feinstein, and I guess Dumbledore is. I thought Dumbledore already was dead. I'm totally confused right now.
In the movies, yeah, I think he is. But
No, I mean I thought the actor.
I don't know.
I get him mixed up with the guy from Lord of the Rings. They all look the same to me. Long bearded wizard dudes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe he's the second Dumbledore.
I thought Ian Kellen was Dumbledore. That's how much into these movies I am.
It's the Dumbledore. I don't know. I'm totally lost too. So, anyways, rest in peace, whoever you
Dumbledore.
are. We're not going to talk about dead people today, so let's head on into.
Counterculture Wise is proud to present News of the Weird and Wonderful. Here are your hosts, Melanie Hope and Jim Monis.
Now, I don't know about you, but I was under the impression this had come to an end several years ago. I
Me
did
too.
not know.
I had no idea this was still a thing, but
It isn't anymore as
ever
of
since
2 days
the
ago.
child porn thing, I haven't had a Netflix account. So
Well, there it is.
apparently, as of Friday, Netflix will no longer be using its iconic red envelopes. So they've been doing that for 20. Am I really old enough? Because I remember when that was brand new and it was such a big
it was
deal.
all the rage, and
Yeah.
I remember when
I love my
Netflix
Netflix,
offered
man.
itself to Blockbuster, and Blockbuster said, "Nah, we'll just do our thing." And then they tried to play catch up and failed miserably. And now
didn't.
there's one whole store left in the entire union, and
They did not change with the times.
That
but yeah,
was
I had a
not
Netflix
smart.
account from the very beginning. I remember I used to get three DVDs a week. And
oh yeah.
yeah, that was the thing. Well, they're doing away with that. They will know. It says they. Oh wow, they're still delivering their DVDs to subscribers until September 29. So no more for you. Before they were the streaming giant we know today, it started by shipping rental DVDs to customers in 1998. I lived in Tacoma, Washington, and
I was in Federal Way, Washington, I believe.
we
Yes,
probably ran into each other so many times.
I would imagine.
And it offered a convenient first-of-its-kind rental option that spared subscribers the need to visit their nearest Blockbuster store.
No, I was in. I don't even remember
Yeah,
anymore.
I remember when Blockbuster first, halfway did DVDs, but they still had cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Be Kind, Rewind, and all that nonsense. The company says that over 5 billion DVDs have been shipped to 40 million subscribers over the years. So they're not quite as many hamburgers as McDonald's, but, up there. Those of us who subscribed to the service for just $4 per rental often saw the very memorable red envelopes from Netflix gracing coffee tables and dorm rooms across the nation. I paid, I believe it was $9.99 for 3 at a time. So once you watched it, you sent it back, and then you had this queue.
Yeah, I
they would just send you the
had
next one in the
I don't
queue.
remember how often I used it. I think more in the mid 2000s when I moved from Oregon back to Washington State, and then I think I had one then as a single, living by myself with Junior Barnes and just hanging out and watching movies.
I wonder whatever happened to our Netflix queues. I wonder if those are out there somewhere. Because I know I never watched all the movies that were on it.
Nah, and I was horrible at returning DVDs, even or VHS, even to the video place down the street. I used to actually work in a Safeway grocery store. They had a
I remember that. Yeah.
VHS rental
Yep,
place.
I remember that in Safeway and Federal
Yeah.
Way. In fact, we probably ran into each other there many
You
times.
probably rented a movie from me just before they canned me. So.
Who knows? Who knows? That's funny. Oh, man. That'd be funny to watch the rewind. All right. So the iconic red envelopes changed the way people watch shows and movies at home, and they paved the way for the shift to streaming. From the beginning, our members loved the choice and control that direct-to-consumer entertainment offered, the wide variety of the titles, and the ability to binge-watch entire series, which I did. In 2007, Netflix expanded its offerings by introducing the streaming service that we now know and used to love until they became pedophiles. All right, well, goodbye to the iconic red envelopes.
Well, this definitely falls into the weird because it's not wonderful. It took them...
Well, this is more weird than wonderful.
Yeah.
Bittersweet, especially given that, we just went through a 9/11. So,
Yeah.
I mean, as at the date, not like
Right.
anything is bad.
New York City officials have identified 2 more victims of the September 11, 2001 terror attacks on the World Trade Center just days before the 22nd memorial anniversary of the attacks. So this was actually
so
from back
weird that they're still
earlier in the
sifting through
month in
this.
September.
Yeah,
So
I just thought it was timely.
the man and woman identified are the 1,648th and 1,649th victims identified by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, according to a news release from the mayor's office. The 2 were identified through advanced DNA testing of their remains, says the release. The mayor's office said they were withholding the names of the 2 new victims at the request of their families. These are the first identifications since September 2021, according to release. The man was identified through DNA testing of remains recovered in 2001, and the woman through DNA testing of remains recovered in 2001, 2006, and 2013.
Well, she got around.
Yeah, she... piece by piece there. The techniques... We're nothing if not professional here.
Yes, please hawk a loogie on the mic. That's
I
always a good.
didn't really intend...
Always a good thing.
The techniques used to the techniques used to make these identifications over 2 decades later include recently adopted next-generation sequencing technology, more sensitive and rapid than conventional DNA techniques, which has been used by the U.S. military to identify the remains of missing American service members. This said the news release. Despite the advancements in DNA technology, roughly 40% of the victims, or about 1,100 people, thought to have died in the disaster remain unidentified. You know, I once started, during one National Novel Writing Month, to write a novel about a woman who had been abused by her husband who worked at the World Trade Center and just decided to have a coffee break before going to work and missed everything, but because she didn't want to be with her husband anymore, she just disappeared, and then
They assume she was
bit by bit he realizes she's still alive, and then he tries to find her to hurt her, and me being the writer that I am, I didn't finish it. So I may go back to that.
Yeah.
NaNoWriMo is coming up just around the corner.
NaNoWriMo is 30 days away, and I had a story idea that I actually wrote down when I thought about it so that I could write it. I did. I thought of the idea, and I thought that was a good idea. And usually I say, that was a good idea, and then 2 days later, didn't I have an idea? No.
What was the idea, Jim?
I literally dropped everything.
Why
wrote
didn't
it
you
down
warn me?
right there in the moment.
Ow.
No, you shouldn't have taken off your helmet. Yeah.
It's
so
a
let that be a
happy
lesson
helmet,
to you.
Ren.
Let that be a lesson to you. Drop everything and write it down when you think of it, because now I feel like, okay. And you know what's really sad?
What?
I remember writing down what the idea was. I know that it's written down, and I don't have the foggiest notion what the idea was, so I'm glad I wrote it down. I hope it was good.
I don't remember it either. You gave it to me. I thought it was brilliant. So
Yeah, so...
Anyhow, a total of 2,753 people were reported missing in Lower Manhattan after the attacks on the WTC. Death certificates were issued for all 2,753, although the work to match the names of victims with remains from the site continues. In the news release, Chief Medical Examiner Jason Graham called the ongoing effort the largest and most complex forensic investigation in the history of our country. I know it's been over 20 years, but these families need closure, and so I applaud them for continuing to try.
Well, I don't know if you don't get closure from not having them identified. I mean, you know where they were, and you know what happened. It's not like they just went missing and you don't know.
Right.
That to me, I mean, even on a much, 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 much smaller level, when our cat disappeared and we still don't know what happened to her, it's like you think about it all the time. You just wonder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine what
Max,
that would be like.
we're talking about Max's sister, Maggie, a.k.a. Winky. It's just one of the sweetest cats in the world.
And just disappeared one stormy night and never saw her again, and we have no idea what happened there. But I can't imagine if that were, say, your husband or your son, or, I mean, just not knowing. But, you know, if we knew she was in a giant building that collapsed in the middle of Manhattan, well, you know, then I think that's closure. I think that counts. I think that counts. All right.
So congratulations,
well,
and I hope they find as many more people as possible.
It's not exactly wonderful, but
no,
I'm sure
I mean,
to the families, you know, it meant something. And the fact that they're still looking is, I don't know, that's the New York of old, when they actually would get together and help each other out. It's definitely not New York today, but there's still a little bit of that left over. Okay, well, folks might be wondering why Max is wearing a space helmet on our thumbnail, and it's because we had a couple of stories that are space-related and very interesting. NASA's first asteroid sample has landed. Looks like it landed in Las Vegas.
Seriously?
It's in the middle of the desert, Utah, okay?
Okay. Utah, Nevada,
Utah testing training. It looks about the same, yeah. I'm driven through both those areas. After
but
years
there's a tabernacle down there. Can't you see that?
I've been there. I've seen the pipe organ. It's pretty awesome. After years of anticipation and hard work by NASA's OSIRIS-REx, which apparently stands for Origins Spectral Interpretation, Resource Identification, and Security Regolith Explorer, so now you know,
A capsule of rocks and dust collected from asteroid Bennu finally is on Earth. What do you bet it was reported by some
Nerd in a
somebody somewhere as a UFO? Yeah.
yeah.
It landed at 8:52 a.m. Mountain Time on Sunday. That was last Sunday. In a targeted area. But see, notice it was before our show, but this story didn't come out until the next day. In a targeted area of the Department of Defense's Utah Test and Training Range near Salt Lake City. Within an hour and a half, the capsule was transported by helicopter to a temporary clean room set up in a hangar in the training range, where it is now connected to a continuous flow of nitrogen. It's probably laughing itself all the... Okay, getting the sample under a nitrogen purge, as scientists call it, was one of the OSIRIS-REx's team's most critical tasks today. Nitrogen is a gas that doesn't interact with most other chemicals, and a continuous flow of it into the sample container inside the capsule will keep out earthly contaminants to leave the sample pure for scientific analysis. The return samples collected from Bennu will help scientists worldwide make discoveries to better understand planet formation and the origin of organics and water that led to life on Earth, as well as benefit of all humanity by learning more about potentially hazardous asteroids. So congratulations to the OSIRIS-REx team on a picture-perfect mission, the first American asteroid sample return in history. Now, think about how precise the math had to be to land on an asteroid, collect those samples, and then come back. I mean, that's pretty badass.
I'm glad they're continuing to do it, because this can lead to several amazing things. Possible cures for diseases.
Who knows?
Possible new ways of communicating with each other. Possible new ways of, building. We may be able to actually live on other planets if we choose to at some point.
Musk is certainly working on it, and the way they're treating him here, I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to move to Mars. All right, the Bennu sample, an estimated 8.8 ounces, will be transported in its unopened canister by aircraft to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston.
Houston
on
means
Monday.
one day closer to
Curation
you.
scientists there will disassemble the canister, extract the weight and the sample, create an inventory of the rocks, dust, and over time distribute pieces of Bennu to scientists worldwide. So this is a first for the U.S. Went according to plan. Everything went well. Congratulations, NASA. That is pretty darn cool.
All right. Another far out there story. The James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST, has found more than 1,000 galaxies mysteriously resembling our own Milky Way hiding out in the early universe. Shaped like warped vinyls and sporting delicate spiral arms, it does look like that. That's pretty cool. The Milky Way doppelgangers were found by JWST more than 10 billion years into the universe's past, during a period when violent galactic mergers were thought to have made an abundance of such fragile galaxies impossible.
Huh? Huh?
Yet the disk galaxies are 10 times more common in the early universe than astronomers previously thought, new research reveals. The strange discovery joins others made by the JWST that point to a deepening mystery around how large galaxies, and with them the potential for life, first bloomed in our universe. The researchers published their findings September 22 in the Astrophysical Journal. For over 30 years, it was thought that these disk galaxies were rare in the early universe due to the common violent encounters that galaxies undergo. Lead study author Leonardo Ferrero, an astronomer at the University of Victoria in Canada, said in a statement, "The fact that JWST finds so many is another sign of the power of this instrument, and that the structures of galaxies from earlier in the universe, much earlier, in fact, than anyone had anticipated." So there were entire galaxies that existed many, many, many millions of years before people thought they did. This is why.
I love stuff like this.
This is
because
why science is never settled.
I was just going to say that. I love stuff like this because I'm so sick of people saying, the science is settled. No, it's not.
If it were
And
settled, it wouldn't be
That's not what
science.
science is.
That's all. If it were settled,
If it was
wouldn't
settled,
be
it wouldn't be science. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Let's see. Most theories of galaxy formation begin 1 billion to 2 billion years into the universe's life, by which time the earliest clusters of stars were thought to have morphed into dwarf galaxies. These dwarf galaxies subsequently began cannibalizing each other, sparking a free-for-all of violent galactic mergers that after 10 billion years resulted in large galaxies
So
like
you mean to
our
tell
own.
us that our universe was made by murderous dwarfs?
That's funny.
I'm just tossing
No, it was
that
actually
out there.
this was actually made by God, and it backs up the thought that, God always existed. It's just our universe, the one that we inhabit, the Earth that we inhabit, is much more recent. But, he was creating this stuff long ago. I'm a budding theologist, so work with me here. Anyway. So what's next on the agenda?
Oh,
my
is that all
friend?
you're reading on that
That's
one?
all I want to
Okay,
read on that one.
I was
It's just-
spacing off, letting you do your thing.
You were good time to be spacing out when I'm talking about space. So.
Wooga,
Good.
wooga, wooga. Chuck will touch on this as well. But this is... I've always liked Drew Carey. I like
Yeah.
from Whose Line Is It Anyway to his sitcom.
His sitcom was great.
To him being on The Price Is Right. He's a funny guy, and he's just a sweet guy.
He strikes me that way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an actor. I don't
And
know, but he
Everybody, I don't know. Everybody I've ever known who like knew him, like worked with him, has always said that. Anyways, he is still the Price is Right host, which is pretty cool because he idolized. Was it Barker?
Bob Barker. Yeah.
That was like his
Was-
idol. So when he got to replace him, he said it was like the thrill of his life. So I think it's
And I love the fact that he kept so many of the classic elements of the Bob Barker
Yeah.
era show.
Yeah.
A lot of the same games, a few interesting new ones, but even the remodel of the set was modern yet retro. They kind of had that balance
and it's
going.
still fun to watch. You still
Yeah.
enjoy it. You still root for the underdog. It is still a lot of fun. Now, when it comes to offering a hand to those involved in the Writers Guild of America, which was on strike up until, I believe,
A few days
yesterday.
ago. Yeah.
Throughout the past few months, Drew Carey was certainly doing his part, and the writers have noticed. At the start of the strike earlier this year, the Price is Right host and comic tweeted on May 19th that he would foot the bill at 2 local Los Angeles restaurants until the strike was over. A tradition he started 16 years ago. Show your WGA card at Bob's Big Boy in Burbank.
But I grew up with Big Boy. They're yum. They opened one in Vegas, so when we go back, I'm going to Big Boy.
Or Swingers
good.
Diner on Beverly near Fairfax, and your meal is
Sure.
free. The selfless gesture hasn't gone unnoticed. In fact, writers are praising Carey for helping people survive the trying times. I highly doubt getting a burger helps you survive, but it's a nice gesture. I know at least a couple of people who ate at Bob's every day of the strike, not because it was fun, but because it was free and they needed the food. Drew didn't just build a community, he literally helped people survive the strike. A WGA screen reader wrote on the platform formerly known as Twitter.
She refuses to call it by the third to last letter in the alphabet.
Well, I mean, okay, our generation got completely ignored. We got a stupid-ass name. And now they're taking a, perfectly viable platform and giving it the same stupid-ass name. It's like,
No, that's all right.
Pardon my French. So this guy's name is John Gary. One of the things, in my opinion, that is hurting the business is the slow death of a showbiz mentality. This OBS has its traps as well, but Drew Carey covering lunch is such a showbiz move. It really warms my heart. A person just saying, I got you in this moment, Roger Eschenbacher wrote. Thank you for the free lunch, and he's holding up like a burger that is bigger than his entire head.
It was called the Big Boy for a reason.
Wow, that is a giant.
No, I ate those when I was a kid, which is
How
how-
do you eat that? I mean,
with
how
your
do
mouth.
you get your face around that?
Yeah, I know.
I would have to cut that into tiny little pieces, and
Me
I still.
want.
You got Bush's chicken tonight. Not a sponsor, but we take them.
No,
WGA members, we could all chip in and buy Drew Carey a lunch, including tip at either Swingers or Bob's Big Boy. Another member wrote, Brendan Gallagher. It's cute how they're all posing with the
big boy. Yeah.
Thank you, Drew Carey, for covering writer tabs at Bob's Big Boy for the duration of the strike. Seeing dozens of writers getting fed at today's lunch rush offered an amazing sense of solidarity and community. I hope that someday I can pay forward a gesture like this, Brendan Gallagher wrote. Much respect to Drew Carey for providing free meals to WGA members at Swingers and Bob's. I used mine to get lunch with a newbie to the industry and tipped big to the hardworking server. The vibe was electric. Saw John Landis waiting for a table with friends. I love Hollywood. You know, Drew Carey's
John
one of the
Landis
few-
directed Animal House and American Werewolf in London and the Michael Jackson Thriller video. So
Oh, okay.
I knew you didn't know for sure who
No,
he was. So
yeah, not a clue.
But yeah, he was.
I'm not into the Holly weird thing. Drew Carey's one of those guys that actually is getting better looking as he ages.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. But yeah, it goes on and on.
Joe Russo, there were a lot of heroes in the WGA strike, but one that stands above the rest. Thank you, Drew Carey. Anyways, it goes on and on and on. Really sweet thing to do. Sweet thing to do. I mean, a lot of people, we think, oh, a bunch of rich actors, whine, whine, cry, cry. But there were a lot of people, you know, Key Grips and Best Boys and even right down to caterers that were out of jobs because of all this nonsense. And,
Right.
you know, it's
a domino effect.
And these people don't get paid a lot. So
We experienced the same thing during the COVID lockdowns in Vegas. You know, so many of us know people who know, you know, a lot of my friends worked in the casino industry, and then, you know, if they're not working, then, you know, they're not going out to eat, they're not doing things. I mean, it just gets down to just buying groceries. That's just about it. So people don't think about that. Okay, this is really cool. Moving from Hollywood to the sea.
under the sea, under the sea. Darling, it's better down where it's wetter. I'm telling you, it's pornographic.
You got to stop there.
That-
One more note, and we're
Take it
we're
from
out
me.
of-
Oh no!
Oh!
We're getting booted off a screw tube. Shucks.
I'm launching a new video series, and it's going to be on Truth Leak. It's going to be on DTube. It's going to be on Rumble. It's going to be on Locals.
Locals,
It's going
yes.
to be on... Which one am I not mentioning?
Bit
Yeah, that one. It's not
Ashuta.
going to be on that one. What?
Bit Ashuta.
Beat Ashut and probably Brightian,
And
too.
our subscribe star.
Yeah, but anywhere but the one owned by, you know, those guys. Fishmongers who found a rare lobster decided to spare the cool crustacean and release it instead of selling it. Le Vivier
Somebody
de
else could eat it?
Nomo-
Somebody else going to eat it? I mean,
No, a seafood retailer in France said in a Facebook post there is a 1 in 2 million chance to find a blue lobster, and they just happened upon one. The fishmongers worked with the tourism office on the Ile de to find a new... I know, I don't know how to pronounce these things, and I'm being silly. The Ile de Dieu, to find a new home for the small female lobster.
Le Vivier de
The small
Neveture.
French island is just off the coast of Saint-Guy, where Le Vivier de Normandie is located. They were able to find an area on the island that does not allow fishing and will release the blue lobster there so it can live a long, peaceful, and a happy life. The Facebook post reads. Okay, and then
Nous
it
avons
says
fait
in
notre
French.
Maxine affine de Carole. C'est splendide au mat bleu.
Yeah,
D'ailleurs,
what she
c'est
said.
une petite fumée. Oh, it was
Les Viviers de Noir Mountier said they still
it
want
was
to
a
give...
she-lobster.
Yes. Give the lobster a nickname and ask for suggestions for the comments of the post. It is a beautiful beast. It's really
I cannot
nice.
see the beast. There are no beastie pictures.
Yeah, it's an archive, and
Okay,
all
well-
I get is the little circle thingy instead of a picture of the lobster,
Well,
unfortunately.
I'm going to paste and go to the original.
There you
and-
go.
Oh, my gosh, it is very, very blue. It looks like
No,
you're
it
using
is
an ad
bleu.
blocker. Good.
Anyway, that's
Bite
blue. It's
me.
bleu.
It is very bleu.
Lobsters are usually...
That
okay,
is
they want,
really
they,
pretty.
Yeah, they said they still want to give the lobster a nickname and ask for suggestions. Lobsters are usually brownish and turn bright red when they're cooked, which is why I've only seen them red. Yum, yum. But in some rare cases, people have found orange and blue lobsters. These colors are always layered in lobster shells, according to Smithsonian. An orange lobster was found in a shipment at a Red Lobster restaurant in Hollywood, Florida last year.
An orange lobster at Red Lobster?
Gasp, and the staff went on a mission to save the lobster. The orange animal was named Cheddar and brought to Ripley's Aquarium at Myrtle Beach. At the time, the aquarium told CBS it was a 1 in 30 million discovery. Cheddar's vibrant shell is caused by a genetic mutation that causes it to produce more of a particular protein than other lobsters, Ripley said.
This lobster looks exactly like those blue and white china dishes.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Blue lobsters are 1 in 2 million, according to the New England Aquarium, which received its own blue lobster in 2020. In 2022, a father-son duo found a blue lobster while fishing in Casco Bay, Maine, and although it is rare, it wasn't the first in the state. In 2021, a lobsterman in the same bay found a lobster with a blue cotton candy-like hue, according to Smithsonian. And in 2014, a 14-year-old and her father caught a blue lobster in Portland. Lobsters can look blue, yellow, or even a mix of colors, but will turn red when they are cooked, according to the University of Maine's Lobster Institute. That is, unless they're white or albino lobsters. I think all the lobsters in the world should unite as one.
As one beautiful rainbow of
race
lobsters.
of lobsters.
Yes.
An even rarer white lobster was found off the coast of Maine in 2021 by James Hook and Company. Well, if you're going to be a fishery, Hook is a good name.
Hook is a good
which
name.
said it was a 1 in 100 million find. Wow. So, yeah, if you have a chance to check out this blue lobster, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
That orange lobster just looked like he was already cooked.
Orange lobster boring.
Yeah. The white lobster isn't actually white. It's kind of a milky gray. It looks like he went bad.
Very bad lobster.
Bad lobster.
Bad lobster. No soup for you.
All right. This is right in our backyard.
All righty.
Yes, and Sadie sent me this one. Allie's not quite smart enough to read, but Sadie's...
I'm Allie. I'm sitting here. I'm drooling out the right side of my face.
She is. She literally is. She's a sweet girl.
Oh, she's a sweetie.
Looking for a home with kids.
Yep.
If you got kids and you want a really sweet doggy. We're just the worst fosters in the world. It's like we try to pawn off our foster animals and we end up keeping them
That's how we
forever.
wound up with Max.
With Max, exactly.
Yay.
All right, a dog from East Texas who was missing 24 days after running off from his owners while on a bathroom stop in Waco, as the family passed through town, has been found in what owners are calling a miracle. What do you bet it was at Buc-ee's? Lucy, a 3-year-old English Cocker Spaniel, was reunited Sunday with her family, including Brennan Potts and his wife Michelle, as well as their daughter Kennedy Olive Emery, after a Waco couple called a number listed on a missing poster. That is a really long sentence. She said, "We have your dog." That is a really short sentence. The Potts weren't sure the call was legit, as Brennan and Kennedy had just left Waco following another day of exhaustive searching for Lucy. Michelle was traveling out of state. The family has made trips to Central Texas numerous times from their home 160 miles away since Lucy was lost. We did the same thing with Winky.
With Max's sister,
many times.
Winky.
They'd painted the town and signs of their furry friend with a phone number and had received dozens of reported sightings and prank calls, and
Of
we
course.
got that too. The
Yeah.
family offered a $1,000 reward, which they later increased to $5,000. Lucy, they love you. A post on KWTX with Lucy's picture was shared around 1,000 times. Brennan and Kennedy were in between Corsicana and Athens, heading back to Emory when the phone rang. I said, "Can you send me a picture of her real quick?" She dropped us 2 pictures, and it was Lucy in their apartment. He just started bawling, and I said, "Would it be okay if I got her back?" Would it be okay? He bawled. Brennan and Kennedy turned around and drove straight to the Waco apartment, where a couple walked Lucy outside. I call her and said, I'm out here, and they came and they have Lucy. Brennan said, she goes crazy, and they dropped the leash. Lucy ran full speed to her owners, ran right past them, and got lost again, and the end of the story is that they're still looking for their dog.
That would be if it was one of our dogs.
That would be us, yeah.
That would be us. Not this one, though.
She wagged her tail and could barely contain her excitement. Oh, she was ecstatic, and so were we. Brennan said the couple who had Lucy said they picked her up in the parking lot of the woman's employer across the street from the Lowe's and appeared to have kept her the entire time. She was chipped but never taken anywhere to be scanned. But why? Brennan paid the couple the reward money and said he was just happy to have his beloved dog back. I bet you he wouldn't have gotten the dog back if there wasn't money involved. I bet you they were going to just keep the dang dog. Why wouldn't you go get it scanned? They got the money, and I got my dog. Lucy and Brennan aren't spending much time at home before heading off on their next big adventure. Lucy was purchased from Raglan Gun Dogs in Illinois, where the business boasts to import, breed, and train some of the best English cockers from the UK. So Lucy probably cost
What
one.
would you do if I sang? You know I would call my Cocker Spaniel Joe Cocker. It would
even if it was a girl,
be.
he'd name it Joe.
I'd still name it Joe. It's
Yeah,
in Billy Joe.
Josephine,
I don't care.
Yeah. Lucy hunts with Brennan and is leaving next week for Hunt Together in North Dakota. Brennan said he and his family just want to thank everyone who helped bring Lucy home. Lucy is back home after being gone for about 3 weeks, and we couldn't have done it without all the people who posted and reposted and shared messages and sent tips and looked for her. We can't thank you enough. She's home. She's healthy, and it's a happy ending. Welcome home,
And then they went hunting, and she got
Lucy.
eaten by a bear. Look, I don't know. Honestly, it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm happy for them.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, do we have a lot of these today. Let's have some fun. Now, see, that's why we can't have nice things. Now, I did not know that Hunter Biden could fly a jet, but color me corrected.
Well, you already are flying pretty high when you're an airplane pilot. This guy took it a little too far. This is the story. A British Airways pilot has been sacked after reports he snorted cocaine off a topless woman before trying to fly a passenger plane back to London.
So what? Now, was it because he did it off the topless woman? Is that what got him in trouble?
Yeah, it was a topless woman.
Okay, all right.
Married pilot Mike Beaton.
See, I think he's going to get more than fired. Oh.
Married pilot Mike Beaton was stupid and boasted about his antics to a stewardess. Oh, my God. They're calling this woman a stewardess?
That's allowed?
That's still allowed?
I don't think so.
I remember a book my mom had about stewardesses called Coffee, Tea, or Me. They made it into a movie with Karen Valentine, which I actually watched. This has nothing to do with the story I'm telling you now. It's just things have changed.
Unless
I've
she
heard
was the
flight
topless
attendant,
Coke
but
chick.
I don't know. Anyway, a stewardess who raised the alarm, according to the Sun newspaper. The father of one from Devon had been due to fly from Johannesburg, South Africa, to London. He was instead flown to Heathrow as a passenger the next day, where he tested positive for drug use, the paper reported. In a statement to Sky News, BA confirmed the pilot is no longer employed by the airlines. Safety is always our top priority. The matter was referred to the CAA, and this individual no longer works for us, BA said.
CAA means Civil Aviation Authority.
Right, the similar to FAA here.
Mm-hmm.
And
They just have to have different acronyms because they're them.
yes. The airline said the plane from Johannesburg was delayed overnight while a replacement first officer was found to operate the flight.
That would so be me. Guys, you're just going to have to go stay in a hotel because your pilot is coked up and we can't go anywhere. So, yeah.
The Sun reported the drug-fueled incident occurred during one of Mr. Beaton's. His name is cracking me up.
Mr.
Not-
Beaton?
What is he doing? Never mind. I'm a Christian. I've got to stop that. I can't stop dirty thing. I'll keep going. Nights off in Johannesburg. In text to a stewardess colleague, the disgraced pilot described partying with two local men, a female Welsh holidaymaker, and a young Spanish woman. He said the group
least
met
he was
at a
having international
nightclub
fun.
before heading back to one of the men's flats where the Class A drugs were apparently produced. I've lost my shirt somewhere, and some of the local lads produce a plate with... Never mind, that's the wrong
I don't
accent.
even know what accent that was.
I don't either. I lost my shirt somewhere. One of the local lads produces a plate with a few lines of Coke. One of the text messages said, according to the Sun. So then there's a debate about whose chest is the best to do a bump off. Wow. I should have been a flight attendant. Yeah, I don't know. The civil,
Yeah, there would be
Them.
nothing more calming as a
go ahead, it's fine.
as a person on a flight when my flight attendant comes and shakes my drink all over me. I can see you as a flight attendant. Boop. What do you want? Can I have a pill? No! Shakes my drink all over me.
Shaken, not stirred. The Civil Aviation Authority has withdrawn Mr. Beaton's medical certificate, banning him from flying.
Who stirs a martini? Is that even a thing?
No. An airline must immediately inform us if a UK pilot has misused drink or drugs boarding or being on board an aircraft, a CAA spokesperson told Sky News. In these cases, we would immediately suspend the pilot's medical, which means they cannot fly. Or just chop off his arms. He can't fly either. In most cases, the pilot would have an assessment. I'm glad you brought a smile to your face. In most cases, the pilot would have an assessment with an expert medical team, and if they wish to return to flying, then a comprehensive rehabilitation program with an extra M and an E put on the end of it would be put in place, the spokesperson said.
Well, I mean, they are upside down. They might as well add extra letters.
Yeah. At the end of that process, the medical would only be reinstated if we're completely satisfied. The Sun said the pilot's wife has declined to comment.
Ouch! Ouch! Oh. Oh.
Take a whiff of this, you boob. Smack. Anyway.
What? This happened in Las Vegas?
What? Yeah.
A poker player who said he had terminal cancer and accepted thousands of dollars in donations so he could play in the World Series of Poker tournament in Las Vegas now admits he made it all up. Rob Mercer told the Las Vegas Review-Journal he made up stage 4 colon cancer diagnosis for his GoFundMe page in June. Mercer of Vallejo. Wait, I get to say the L's? I thought you never say L's in California.
You are if you're a Yank
It's
living in
California.
California. I grew up in San Pedro. And by the
Vallejo.
way, it's San Pedro, but we all call it San Pedro because we're a bunch of white Yankees.
Vallejo, California,
Whatever.
was trying to raise enough funds to meet the $10,000 buy-in for the No Limit Hold'em World Championship. We have a friend who deals for that.
Yeah.
He received contributions worth between $30,000 and $50,000. Okay, I am in the wrong bracket, including a stay at a suite at the Bellagio.
Which is this ain't no Motel 6.
No.
It's a nice place.
It's a nice joint. Even a fellow player from Arizona who suffers from chronic illness donated $2,500. Ouch. What a jerk. I'm sorry for not being honest about what my situation was. If I would have done that from day one, who knows what would have happened. However, the 37-year-old says he won't be refunding anyone because he believes oh, for God's sake. Do I really have to read this out loud?
Yes, please.
He won't be refunding anyone because he believes he had undiagnosed breast cancer. He says he has been more or less banished from the poker community.
And his wife refused to comment. Anyway, I'm kidding. I don't know none of that.
I mean, seriously? Seriously?
And that, folks, is why we can't have nice things. Okay.
I mean, seriously? I'm not going to give back the money. I have boob cancer. Okay.
Just another story of another boob. Okay. Oh, here's another boob. If you're going to do financial crimes, maybe an Xbox isn't your best bet. That is one, but hopefully not the only lesson learned by 26-year-old Anthony Vigiano, a former Goldman Sachs investment analyst who's been indicted for insider trading along with 2 of his friends. He allegedly tipped off those friends to big financial deals using both encrypted messaging and, incredibly, a game console's audio chat. I swear, I am not making this up. According to the indictment, the FBI secretly recorded Vigiano admitting that he passed on illegal info, possibly via an Xbox 360 of all things. So, okay, I'm going to use this language because it adds flavor to the story. I don't condone this language anymore. Salomon says, you have shit where you're giving fucking information where you're fucking Steve...
Yikes, crap. Why are we reading this?
I don't know. I'm not going to do that again.
I just...
Vigiano,
wow.
nah, because similar to you, Signal are like Xbox 360 chat. There's no tracing that. Good luck ever finding that. Good luck. They did find it. Ha ha. The ha ha ha. So the Salamoni guy who needs his mouth washed out with soap
Yeah.
and his college buddy Stephen Forlano made at least $400,000 from the insider trading scheme before they were caught, the government alleges. It's not clear whether the friends used an Xbox 360 specifically. For one thing, the FBI alleges that Forlano and Vigiano communicated by email and disappearing messages on Instagram, not necessarily Signal. But the government says Vigiano did use a video game console's audio chat and apparently even managed to confirm the contents of that audio somehow. It might have been an Xbox 360, though. There's no tracing Xbox 360 chat. Conversation allegedly occurred in June 2023, and the Xbox 360 is still hanging in there today. Microsoft has stated it will let friends connect and play multiplayer games indefinitely on the Xbox 360, as long as the publisher still supports the online servers. Another 5 months. I'm kidding. I don't know. Microsoft is shutting down the Xbox 360 online game store in July 2024, though, because why keep a good thing when you can make more money on another thing? The whole indictment's a fun read. These guys seem pretty brazen. You can find it below, and it has the whole schmear, which I'm not going to read because there's only so many hours in a day. And, I don't want to bore you people to tears. I've already broken my law not to swear on this show anymore, and I apologize.
That was, yeah.
That guy's...
He needs his mouth washed out with soap.
Probably a former jar like me. But anyway.
No, a lot of people talk like that now. It's like a speech impediment.
Yeah.
Okay then. Princeton University has been accused of breaking a litany of promises to support a graduate student believed to have been abducted by a notorious armed militia earlier this year.
I had no awareness of it until I found this article.
That's a thing?
Apparently.
Elizabeth Tuskarov, a 36-year-old dual Russian-Israeli citizen and U.S. resident enrolled in the Ivy League school, went missing in March while conducting research for her doctoral degree in Iraq's capital city of Baghdad. Well, if you're going to go missing, that's probably the place to do it. I think I know what happened to her, and it probably had something to do with a bone saw. She is a prominent analyst and social media commentator on Middle East politics with almost 80,000 followers on Twitter/X. Her writing has appeared in the Washington Post, The Guardian, and Foreign Policy, among others. The group suspected of being behind her abduction has since been identified by the Israeli government as Kataib Hezbollah, a Shiite parliamentary group backed by Iran that has been designated as a terrorist organization by the United States. This poor woman. 6 months after the Princeton student first disappeared, her sister Emma Tuskov, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, spoke with the Daily Beast, about the agonizing strain of the kidnapping, which she says has only been compounded by Princeton's handling of the crisis. I'm going to have to keep reading because what the heck does Princeton have to do with her being in a foreign country and getting nabbed? Princeton has been one of the most infuriating institutions or organizations to deal with throughout the process. I feel that it's being treated as a PR problem that needs to be handled rather than life or death matter for its graduate student. I'm still not certain what the college has to do. Okay. When Elizabeth first went missing, Emma immediately took charge as the main advocate for her sister's safe recovery.
Right.
That included working with Princeton to help garner support for the researcher in hopes that they would champion my sister's release, similar to how the Wall Street Journal was with Evan Gerskovich. Emma said, referring to the American journalist who was arrested in Russia earlier this year. But months later, she realized it wasn't going the way she had hoped it would. Emma asked the school to amend the initial statements it released following her sister's kidnapping, in which the university did not elaborate beyond saying, Elizabeth is a valued member of the Princeton University community. We are deeply concerned for her safety and well-being, and we are eager for her to be able to rejoin her family and resume her studies. In other words, we're not doing a dang thing. An outpouring of dangerous conspiracy theories were shared on social media after news of the kidnapping broke, as previously reported, and Emma believed a more detailed statement from Princeton could quell the storm of disinformation. In emails shared with the Daily Beast, Emma wrote to the university on July 6, quote, in the past couple of days, a lot of media and public attention has been devoted to the misalignment between the statement from the Israeli Prime Minister's office and Princeton's comment. Specifically, the fact that Princeton did not acknowledge that Elizabeth was in Baghdad to do field work for her dissertation at Princeton. This was falsely perceived by many as indicating that Elizabeth is some sort of intelligence officer for the U.S. government, the Israeli government, or both. Such a perception raises the stakes in the negotiations for her freedom and safety and can prevent her release. All caps. The point is crucial for her safe return and can literally determine whether she lives or dies. She added, in response, the Princeton official said they hope to get back to her the following day.
That's one of the most confusing stories we've ever... Yeah.
I'm lost. Okay, 2 days later, Emma followed up. I would like to understand what is holding up the simple clarification. The most important point is for the statement to mention that she was kidnapped while doing academic research in Baghdad. Every hour in which the sentence is not published is increasing the cost of her release and is causing a very real damage to her chances of survival. That is not just my assessment, but also that of the authorities involved in this matter. If you truly care about my sister and her safety, please do this immediately. Okay, so basically, they're not correcting the perception that she's somehow a stooge, I guess. Experts who spoke with the publication corroborated the importance of the simple clarification Emma so desperately is pleading for in her emails to Princeton, including Mickey Bergen, the head of the Richardson Center, a nonprofit organization that helps negotiate for the release of prisoners held by hostile groups. By saying she was there doing research for them, it makes the U.S. connection stronger and makes the responsibility of the U.S. government to apply pressure on Iraq much, much more solid and almost forces it to happen. Well, now, if she was a lesbian basketball player who snuck a bunch of drugs over the border, she'd be home by now. That is critical to saving her life. And it's not the first time Princeton has a student prisoner abroad. Bergen was referring to another case taken on by Richardson Center years ago after another Princeton graduate, Xiaoyu Wang, was arrested while conducting research in Iran and Why are they going to Iran, you idiots? And subsequently detained for 3 years on espionage allegations. How about we stop going to Iran and Iraq, people? Following his release in December 2019, prisoner swap, Wang and his spouse filed a lawsuit accusing the Ivy League school of reckless, willful, wanton, and grossly negligent acts in connection to his detainment that resulted in severe personal injuries. The student alleged that although faculty officials had enthusiastically encouraged the trip, any publicity regarding Mr. Wang's arrest and detention was viewed as negative for Princeton. Okay, the story is becoming more clear now. Ultimately, the lawsuit ended in an undisclosed settlement reached by both parties last month. In comment to the Daily Princetonian, a university spokesperson claimed that Wang had been given extraordinary support throughout the ordeal and said, in keeping with that support, we have chosen to help them move on with their lives by avoiding protracted litigation. How many sides of a mouth does she have to speak out of? Referring to Wang's detainment, Bergman said, I was very aware then that our encounters with Princeton were extremely frustrating for similar reasons to Elizabeth's case. For Princeton to engage in similar mistakes within months after that settlement is just really mind-boggling. So this goes on for quite a bit, tells you a little bit more about who she is.
Why did it take so long to clarify itself?
It's well,
it's complex.
Whoever this author is, Noor Ibrahim, she's really long-winded. You needed to get to the point and then fill in the details.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're 2/3 of the way through the article before we're even understanding what we're upset about.
It's the top of the hour.
Daily Beast isn't really known for its,
It's not a news
Yeah.
organization. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
No.
By golly, by gum, it is the top of
And
the
we will
hour.
continue with more of the same. Also a visit from Chuck very shortly.
Yes. So, folks, we got to pay a couple of bills. We'll have Chuck chime in right after these messages.
Leaders, listen up. Do you feel like you can't get a dang thing done because of all the namsy-pamsy crybabies that want you to coddle their creativity? When you give orders, are you met with vacant stares only rivaled by a cocker spaniel? It's not them. It's you. You need to shape up or they'll ship you out. Read The Sniper's Guide to Leadership, and you'll become a more effective leader, communicator, and motivator. Forget SMART goals and learn SWIFT goals. Get The Sniper's Guide to Leadership in paperback, Kindle, and Nook. Today!
My fellow Americans, sales of honey-sweetened Bolaños is off the charts. And now, it's time to address Biden's endorsement of my MAGA line. Now, people tell me, they tell me, all the time, how old Sleepy Joe is going on and on about Ultra MAGA, as if it's a bad thing. A bad thing? Isn't that just silly? What old Joe doesn't know is that he's actually endorsing my latest line of Ultra MAGA products. Now, if you brought my steaks, you know they go great with ketchup. But if you want to take them up a notch, try my Hillary's hot sauce. It comes in small bottles so you can carry it in your purse or pocket, and just like Hillary, it's extra salty. So good, so good. And fresh squeezed from beautiful Mar-a-Lago oranges to orchards to your breakfast table. People are saying, and I believe them, people are saying that this delicious juice goes great with Trump brand cereals. Let's face it, no one juices like Trump. Now, since Sleepy Joe's son has gotten into painting, it only makes sense that I help the old crook out with the best art supplies money can buy. Trump brand finger paints are the perfect thing for your deadbeat, druggy son to get started in the art world. They're non-toxic, so they do not include the color red, because the Bidens have done enough with the reds. The Ultra Super Mega palette includes such fabulous colors as Laptop Lavender, Powdery Substance White, Navy Joan Blue, and of course, my favorite, Sun-Kissed Orange. Don't take my word for it. These things are the best. Everyone says so, they tell me. President Trump, when are you going to come out with new things? They like every product in the Ultra Mega line. And it sounds like old sleepy, creepy Joe does too. So what's not to like? God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Yeah, I get it. Your parents were jerks and you're traumatized. But that doesn't mean you should use your lousy childhood as an excuse to be a lousy adult. Stop being such a whiner and get past your past already. Buy Get Over It and Get Started, the book by Melanie Hope that will get you out of your self-imposed failure and on the road to greatness. Available in paperback, Kindle, and Nook.
Hi, everybody. This is Jim from Counterculture-Wise with my newest jingle about our store. I don't mean to be intrusive, but just have a look at our exclusive stuff you just can't find in any store. Click on the big store link and find mugs that you can drink from, and shirts and hoodies and mouse pads and much more.
What is that awful sound?
Chop it, woman. I'm just getting started.
Oh, boy.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. Buy our crap and come support us. Whatever thing you can afford us, so our mean old landlord doesn't throw us in the street. We've got goggle stuff to deck your place, and Max's gorgeous orange face, and FBI and mooing slabs of meat.
Stop already.
No way, Toots. I'm on a roll. I can't emphasize enough how much you need to buy our stuff so I can live a better life chock full of luck. If after everything I've said I haven't gotten through your head, then it's really clear you just don't give a...
Jim, no!
I want what I want, woman!
And we want you to check out our great official gear at counterculturewise.com. Radio with heart in mind.
And now, CCW News presents Holy Crap! This is actually happening! National Attention Deficit Edition, October 1st, 2023. I'm Chuck U. Farley. The big news this week is that half the world is mourning the recent passing of lifelong Senator Dianne Feinstein. The other half is suffering from the Mandela effect, as they had confused her with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and thought she had died in 1989. While the mainstream media is doing its job distracting the world by endlessly reporting on the details of her 60 or so years in office, her handlers have assured us that she will continue to vote as she always has. The Writers Guild of America strike has finally come to an end. Since everything out of Hollywood for the last 3 decades has been recycled garbage anyway, nobody else knew that there even was a writer's strike. Luckily, the writers got everything they were demanding, including a tight rein on AI writing for them, particularly since the strike proved that no one can tell the difference between a Google search and a Jimmy Kimmel Fallon monologue. It's a good thing that we have all these distractions from reality to take our attention off of silly things like China, Russia, and the United States digging new tunnels and building new facilities at their nuclear test sites. Hopefully, the full-scale global Cold War will cool down the current full-scale hot war in Ukraine. Canada's black-faced dictator Trudeau had a banner week. First, he beclowned himself by encouraging a standing ovation for an actual Nazi. No, I swear, I am not making this up. His real papa would have been so proud. Meanwhile, even the most mild-mannered Canadians have had enough of butt-bustin' Justin's child grooming and have taken to the streets to let him know. Just like the last time, he immediately froze all their assets and had authorities kidnap their children. After disrespecting the meat-eating vegan mayor of New York by actively avoiding him and ignoring his incessant whining about his now overflowing sanctuary city, King Brandon rubbed salt in Mayor Adams' wounds by giving a speech in which he announced he's going to encourage and facilitate still more millions of male, military-aged economic migrants invading the country. Speaking of dumb things the cabbage-in-chief has uttered this week, after saying that blacks and Hispanics don't have the capacity to graduate high school, Biden went on to heap praise on the Congressional Black Caucus. While speaking at the Hispanic Caucus, In his defense, he is on record saying that they all look the same to him. Like every intelligent lefty that has woken up long enough to start asking questions, the censorship machine is systematically taking down comedian-turned-social commentator Russell Brand using their favorite weapon, Pound Me Too. Of course, no named victims have come forward, and he hasn't even been indicted. But that won't stand in their way. The British government itself demanded that he be silenced and or demonetized on all social media platforms over mere allegations. Video platform Rumble was the only one with weighty enough cojones to tell them to bugger off. The RNC opening act auditions went from pointless debates to silly circus within the first 5 minutes when Hillary Clinton fangirl Dana Perino opened the so-called debates by asking the candidates to write down who they believe should be voted off the island. I swear, I am not making this up. The game show went from Survivor to Family Feud as the contestants yelled over the top of one another incessantly until Chris Christie, another Hillary fangirl, recycled one of her jokes. The uncomfortable silence that followed was the best part of the entire debate. Every analyst, even Hairspray Hitler himself, Gavin Newsom, agreed that Trump won the debate simply by not being present. Democrats swiftly filed a 12th indictment against Trump, citing non-insurrection of a sideshow. For CCW News, this has been Holy Crap! This is actually happening! I'm Chuck U. Farley. Good night, and may God help us.
Poor Chuck.
Poor Chucky.
Poor Chucky.
All right, well, we have even more of why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
I mean, this
kind of ticks me off a little bit.
This one is...
I would love to know their motivation, because I don't think the article goes into it.
I don't think it does much. British police have made their second arrest over the cutting down of a 300-year-old tree.
Why? Why?
Near the Roman landmark of Hadrian's Wall in northeast of England. Hours after a 16-year-old was freed on bail, Northumbria police said a man in his 60s was a 16-year-old. 16-year-olds are just dorks. I know, I was one of them. But a 60-year-old man?
Other than Christmas trees, it never occurred to me to cut down trees when I was 16.
A man in his 60s was arrested and being questioned in custody. The senseless destruction of what is undoubtedly a world-renowned landmark and a local treasure has quite rightly resulted resulted in an outpouring of shock, horror, and anger throughout the Northeast and further afield, Detective Chief Inspector Rebecca Fenny-Menzies said. I hope this second arrest demonstrates just how seriously we're taking this situation and our ongoing commitment to find those responsible and bring them to justice, she added. The 16-year-old boy was arrested on Thursday of suspicion of criminal damage after the tree was destroyed overnight. Why anyone would want to cut down one of England's most iconic trees has left people across the UK baffled and angry. Robert McFarlane, a renowned nature writer, said he was sick to the core to hear the news about the tree, which was known and loved by millions. I just see this as part of a piece of a much broader hostile environment toward the living world in this country, he told BBC Radio. It was a tree that ashes were scattered under, marriages were made under, and it was a shelter for tired walkers. McFarlane said he was buoyed by the widespread disgust that followed news of the tree's felling and suggested a new forest be planted in its honor. Following centuries of industrialization and urbanization, Britain is considered to be one of the most deforested countries in Europe. The tree was one of the main landmarks along Hadrian's Wall, a UNESCO World Heritage Site built nearly 2,000 years ago when Britain was part of the Roman Empire to guard its northwestern frontier. Wow. For generations, walkers have paused to admire and photograph the tree at Sycamore Gap, which was made famous when it appeared in Kevin Costner's 1991 film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I've seen that movie.
Really?
The National Trust, which for more than 125 years has sought to protect England's heritage and national landscapes, said that it is currently making the site safe and helping staff of the community come to terms with the news. The tree, which was cut down near the base of its trunk, could grow again, experts said, although they cautioned it would never be the same. It's worth a try, but I think livestock and wildlife will potentially damage it as well, said Rob Turnant, head gardener at the Alnwick Garden nearby. It'll be very difficult to get it back to the original tree.
Well, yeah,
Ternent-
300 years, that's heartbreaking.
Ternent said the first shoots of recovery could start to appear in the spring, and the tree could get to be about 2.4 meters tall, although it will be bushy. It was about 300 years old, so it'll take a long time to get back to that size, he added.
Yeah.
So, whoever did that, you're not a nice person.
No motivation, nothing?
What motive could one have?
I don't understand.
That's just evil.
Well, speaking of evil, imagine you're led into a building and you pick up a piece of furniture, take a picture with it, and put it back down. And that causes you to get put on, like, indefinite probation, tossed in jail. You have to wear an ankle monitor. They take away your passport. You have to get randomly drug tested, and you spend the rest of your life being called an insurrectionist. That's basically what happened to
Lectern guy.
So after all of that and all the fees and all the court costs and, the jail time, and he's still wearing an ankle monitor and, blah, 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 this and that, because literally all he did was move a piece of furniture. He did not steal it. He did not leave the premises with it. He actually only moved it a few feet and take a picture. That's it. That's all he did. He didn't hit anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. He was let into the building. He wandered into the building. He took a picture of him smiling, holding Pelosi's lectern. That's it. That's all the man did, literally. And his entire life is ruined. Meanwhile, the lawyer that prosecuted him is Stabby McStabface, and he gets a lighter sentence. In fact, he doesn't even have to do jail time.
Please
Literally.
expound upon that, my friend.
So, former assistant U.S. attorney.
From here to
That's
eternity.
An attorney that does it for a long, long time. He's an attorney who prosecuted U.S. Capitol rioters, got better bail than some of the accused in the January 6th case after he allegedly stabbed a driver in a fit of road rage this Tuesday. The number of protesters facing federal charges has surpassed 1,100, with more than half pleading guilty. And the reason they're pleading guilty is not because they are guilty, but because if they don't plead guilty, they will have their lives completely ruined, and they will spend the rest of their lives paying off the legal fees. So that's really the only choice they're given. Over 100 have been convicted on all charges, but many still face trial and some are held without bail. So 2 years later, there are still people rotting in political prison over walking into a building that, by the way, their taxes paid for, that people that are employed by them work at. Meanwhile, former Assistant U.S. Attorney Patrick Scuggs, who prosecuted some of those accused of storming the U.S. Capitol on January 6, has been charged with aggravated battery, aggravated assault, and armed burglary. Scruggs, who spent 10 years with the U.S. Attorney's Office, posted a $65,000 bail the same day he was arrested in Tampa, Florida, and got to skip home. He is accused, and this is all on video, by the way, so they're like, oh, he's accused, but it's all on video. He is accused of breaking the window of a vehicle that hit his sedan on Interstate 275 on Tuesday morning and stabbing the driver. Okay, this isn't actually given the full report. What happened, apparently, is, at least what I saw in the video, a dude in the sedan was either asleep or passed out. We don't know. And a couple of good Samaritans were concerned for him and tried to wake him up by knocking on the window. And then Scuggs pulls up and decides he's going to bash the window in. And then when the guy's like, hey, dude, that wasn't cool, Patrick starts stabbing him with his pocket knife. And then he also starts stabbing the Good Samaritans for no particular reason.
Weirdo.
So he's accused of breaking the window of a vehicle that hit a sedan on Interstate 275 on Tuesday. Scuggs also allegedly attempted to stab a couple who stopped to help the victim and fled the scene. He was apprehended by police shortly after and arrested on charge of aggravated battery, aggravated assault, and armed burglary. That's because he busted the window. The victim was hospitalized for serious injuries. So, two-tiered justice system. Anybody?
Anybody?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Disgusting.
Speaking of well, no, we're not there yet. Okay. We'll talk about more disgusting later, but right now, the lectern guy. We just mentioned him.
Oh, Jimmy Carter's birthday's today.
Cool. Here we go.
Terrible president. Lovely man.
Adam Johnson, also known as the Lectern Guy, offered to donate miniature lecterns for auction to raise funds for those imprisoned following their presence at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. On January 6, Johnson was famously pictured holding former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's lectern inside the rotunda of the Capitol. Johnson was subsequently dubbed the Lectern Guy after the photo went viral and was featured in memes. I want to donate 10 handmade lecterns to someone who can auction them off and donate the proceeds to the J6 Political Prisoners Defense Funds, Johnson wrote in an X post providing a picture of his handmade miniature wooden lecterns. Per his plea deal, Johnson cannot be involved in any monetary transactions in donating proceeds to those imprisoned following January 6, although encouraged ex-users with larger platforms to direct a message with him to work out a deal. I don't have much other than my skills and desire to help, he said. I'm hoping this can make a difference. The miniature lecterns are modeled after Pelosi's and include a seal featuring a silhouette of Johnson holding the former speaker's
They're actually
lectern
kind of cool. I'd like
with
one.
the phrase, "Take a stand." I haven't seen the photo of it yet. These little wooden trinkets aren't much, but if we make enough noise, we can do some actual good, he said. Johnson reiterated to Timcast News that he cannot be involved in any money exchange per his plea deal. I just need someone to set up the auction for donation site, and I can get it reposted everywhere. Everywhere, he said. Top 10 donations will get a lectern from me, signed with a letter of thanks. Shortly after the image went viral, Johnson was booked by Pinellas County Jail in Florida and held on a federal marshal warrant. In February 2022, Johnson was sentenced to 75 days in prison by United States District Court Judge Reggie B. Walton.
Yes, he be. He
Yes,
be
he
Walton.
He be Walton.
He be
all
Walton.
over the place.
Yay.
Johnson was also ordered to pay a $5,000 fine and perform 200 hours of community service, along with 1 year's supervision following his release. That is what we call here at CCW ridiculous. More than 950 people have been arrested and charged for the connection to the Capitol riot. This riot, I tell you.
It's an insurrection!
3,860 counts of criminal activity. Roughly 350 remain on the FBI's most wanted list of violent offenders per USA Today. Charges include at least 315 counts of violent entry and disorderly conduct. 222, let me say it again, 222, which is 1/3 of 666, counts of civil disorder or interfering with law enforcement during civil disorder, 95 counts of conspiracy, and 17 counts of seditious conspiracy.
But what about
Well, if you're going to be a
mischief?
conspirator, be a seditious one. No, those are the best. Notable incarcerations include Proud Boys members Joe Riggs, who was sentenced to 17 years in prison, along with Zachary Rell, who was sentenced to 15 years for seditious conspiracy, among other charges. And, of course, as we all know, if you listen to this show at all, Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio, the white supremacist with Hispanic name, who was not present at the Capitol on Jan 6, was sentenced to 22 years in prison for his involvement in events surrounding the Capitol riot. Just under 200 have been sentenced to serve time in prison. For corrections, please email corrections@timcast.com.
Why did you read that?
I don't know. I felt like it.
You're a spaz.
I don't know. Just felt like it.
End of line.
End of line.
Repeat.
Next page.
All right. Well, let's head on to the new normal.
This is not Barbara Walters. It is no longer 2020. But this is your new abnormal.
It's now obvious that if you all stay in the race, former President Donald Trump wins the nomination. None of you have indicated that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island? Please use your marker to write your choice on the notepad in front of you. 15 seconds starting now. Of the people on the stage, who should be? I'm absolutely serious.
With all due respect, I mean, we're here, we're happy to debate, but I think that that's disrespectful to my fellow competitors.
Nobody wants to participate.
Let's do some questions. Let's talk about the future of the country.
And I want to look at that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
Vagina.
I'm sorry.
And that is precisely what Chris Christie was acting like.
It's just so hilarious, though, because I actually, and if you look at our videos for Holy Crap, that was Hillary's joke back in 2016. She actually paid a Donald Duck impersonator to dance out front of the Trump Tower. So Christie was so proud. I mean, and the smug look on his face is hilarious. He was so proud of himself for that joke, and it wasn't even his joke. It wasn't even his joke. It was clear back when they were trying to get his tax returns. And then once they did finally get his tax returns, it turned out he paid his taxes, and boy, that really pissed him off. Notice nobody talks about his tax returns anymore?
No, because he was legit.
Yeah.
And I think this whole... we were talking about all of this going on with the entire the government of the state of New York going after Trump. This is going to turn out to be yet another well-seasoned nothing burger on French toast. It's going to be nothing. It's going to be
Les bons de air.
It's going to be nothing.
To all nothing burgers, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about things we shall not speak of. Wednesday's cable morning news show on ABC News, NBC News, and CBS News reportedly ignored the bombshell revelation that President Joe Biden's home address received 2 bank wires totaling $260,000 in 2019 from Biden family Chinese business partners. And what's funny is now they are kind of sort of acknowledging it, but they're like, oh, he wasn't even a candidate then. He wasn't even vice president, so that doesn't even count. So espionage only counts when you're actually already voted in? Gotcha.
Whatevs.
The report, which dropped around 5 p.m. Tuesday, is another link between Joe Biden and foreign money wired to the Biden family business from China. It is the height of media malpractice that not a single second was spent on any of those programs. This is from the House Republicans' Twitter account. Hunter Biden did not reside with Joe Biden in Delaware when his Chinese business partners wired money to Joe Biden's address. Hunter Biden's failed plea deal documents stated he actually lived in California. Along with Hunter Biden's memoir, Beautiful Things, Hunter Biden's lawyer, Abby Lowell, confirmed Hunter Biden did not live with his father. This was a document loan, not a distribution or payout, that was wired from a private individual to his new bank account, which listed the address on his driver's license, his parents' address, because it was his only permanent address at the time. We expect more occasions where the Republican chairs twist the truth to mislead people to promote their fantasy political agenda. The wired money from Beijing to Joe Biden's address contradicts the president's false claim that Hunter Biden never made money from China. It also contradicts Biden's false claim that he never spoke to his son about business. Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's best friend in business, told the Oversight Committee that Joe Biden spoke with the BHR partner associated Associate John Lee on speakerphone to sell the, quote, Biden brand. Wouldn't the Biden brand be like incompetence and stinky, sniffy
both
old
incompetence
man?
and incontinence?
Yeah, ooh.
Yeah, both.
Ooh.
In one trembly package.
Was it? I think it was Trump that said that Biden's problems are the 3 I's: incompetence, inflation, and immigration.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be the 4 I's and incontinence. BH Partners, the fund Hunter Biden confounded via, I'm sick of this. I'm just so sick of it. It's like, look over here. They're jingling their keys. And every stinking Democrat is like, "Ooh, look at the jingling keys. Durr! No evidence. No, not a scintilla." That's their favorite word now. Not a scintilla of evidence. Other than text, email, documents, witnesses that actually are named, not just, sources say or IRS agents, paperwork, wire transfers, emails. I mean, no evidence at all except for all of this evidence. And Biden's been crooked since the 70s. I mean, where have these people been? We've known Biden, the whole Biden crime family is corrupt since way back when he was just a junior senator talking about how you have to have an Indian accent in order to go to a 7-Eleven. That's on film, by the way, in case you want to see it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And, he's been corrupt back, when he first started saying that he didn't want his children going to a racially charged school, so he was against integration. Kamala called him out on that, before she got bought to serve in, or at least to, where is she these days anyways? They're probably smart to hide her. And they're acting like this is news? It's not. He's been corrupt his entire life. I mean, how do you get multiple multi-billion-dollar mansions when your persona is that you're the poorest man in Congress? I mean, didn't he say that multiple times? He's the poorest man,
IQ
the poorest
in
man.
Congress.
I'm poor and poor and poor. I mean, he lies about everything, from the way his wife died to the way his son died to, I mean, yeah, his family keeps dying on him and he keeps lying on him. I mean,
don't know.
And they're acting
and it's
like,
always to score political points or sympathy points.
That's all he cares about. And now he's like a literal corpse. I mean, the man barely knows where he is. And I would say I'm sorry, but I don't really feel sorry for him because he's been so corrupt for so long. If he were any other candidate on the planet, I would think that Jill Biden is just the cruelest, most awful person that's ever walked the face of the earth. Because the way she's abusing him is almost as bad as the way Fetterman's wife is abusing him.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about their husbands. They don't care that these people are mentally incompetent and should be retired and enjoying a nice lap blanket and some hot cocoa. They don't care. All they care about is power.
They care about it until, like Feinstein, they conk out. They virtually have to drag your carcass out of the chamber.
And if Jill Biden and whatever in the heck his wife's name is, and Feinstein and Pelosi and even RBJ are perfect examples of why women shouldn't be in power. Because they can't let it go. They can't let it go. These people need to step down. They need to retire. And it's all women that are behind this. And I'm not going to go off and say, oh, we shouldn't get the vote and this and that. But for God's sake, whenever there's a woman in power, I mean, look at this crazed lunatic in Arizona. Or what's her name, who revoked, gun rights, who revoked the Second Amendment because she was in a mood. No wonder women shouldn't be in power. This is how they act? It's ridiculous. Absolutely insane. These people are nuts. And then, little miss, I don't know what a woman is, who's now on the Supreme Court. I mean, my God. If ever there was a case for getting women out of power, we could just keep naming names.
Right.
Fishmouth, If you see anybody at a gasoline station, I mean, these women are insane. They're nuts. They're cuckoo. They should not be in power, and they should not be behind these men that are clearly not in control of their faculties. Mini ginger snaps. Next story.
This one will even make you lose your temper, Melanie Hope. The Pentagon announced that Ukraine will not be disrupted by a government shutdown if lawmakers are unable to pass a budget agreement. Oh, it gets better. However, active duty troops and some Defense Department employees may work without pay, officials warn. Defense Department spokesman Chris Sherwood.
Say that again.
Oh, I'll be happy to. The Pentagon announced that Ukraine aid will not be disrupted by a government shutdown if lawmakers are unable to pass a budget agreement. However, active duty troops and some Defense Department employees may work without pay, officials warn.
The entire machine needs to be cleaned. These people need to be wiped out. They need to be taken out of office, never to return. I wish there was a way to get everybody in the United States together and stop paying taxes. The only reason they have the power they do is because people are too damn dumb to know that they don't have that power.
They're supposed to lead by the consent of the governed. The problem is the governed are undereducated, fed a bunch of baloney. They're
sheeple.
Numbed up,
They're meek,
dumbed up,
sheeple who don't
scummed
know.
up, and that's what happens.
And this will get us taken off a screw tube, and I don't care. The only thing
What
that
is-
the
what are
January
they
6ers
anyway?
didn't do, the only thing they did wrong was not actually plan an insurrection. This folks, come on. We have a corrupt government, corrupt to the core. This is rotted meat. You can smell it from miles away. And they're extorting money from every man, woman, and child even as they destroy our country and send and launder that money through a hot war that never should have started. That literally could be stopped in 24 hours. We actually have 2 candidates right now that could literally stop this war right now. If Trump had been in office, it never would have started. The only reason Afghanistan happened and Ukraine happened is because we have a weak, ineffective meat puppet with a bunch of power-hungry women behind them that are just using them as meat puppets. It just loops right back to that again. So now, instead of, I don't know, taking care of our veterans, housing the homeless, getting health care to people who need it, bolstering the borders so we could stop an invasion, infrastructure, bridges. We're sending all this money over to a useless war just to get more people killed because it makes them money. It makes them money. It makes them money. I'm sick of this.
All I had to do was repeat that one first paragraph twice. Okay, repeat it once, but you know what I mean. Anyway, let's continue just a little bit. Defense Department spokesperson Chris Sherwood told Fox News in a statement that aid to Ukraine under Operation Atlantic Resolve. Oh my God!
I feel like airplaners. Like I picked a bad day to quit taking methamphetamines.
No kidding.
I picked a bad day to quit.
It's an unexpected activity under a government lapse in appropriations, and the Pentagon has put in place a plan for those essential operations. The Pentagon also said the department will continue to defend the nation and conduct ongoing military operations involving active duty troops and some civilian employees, but officials warn those troops and staffers may not get paid. Your tax dollars and your votes in action, people.
Well, that dovetails into this lovely little tidbit.
Yes.
As the looming shutdown, I guess they did avoid it by getting a streamlined bill that everybody's having a cow about, but I guess at least over the weekend they avoided it. We'll see what happens next. But as this looming shutdown happens, what's the first thing they say they're going to stop doing? oh, we're going to close down all the parks. You mean the parks that we pay for? Yeah, we're going to close down all the parks. So if you go to a national park during their magical little shutdowns where they put a chain across the front, you go hiking or whatever, you can be severely fined, possibly even jailed. If you ever camp in these parks, you could be jailed, fined, whatever. Unless you're a migrant, and then you're just free to go there. Because that's where we're housing them now, is in our national parks, where we who pay for it and we who aren't allowed access when the government shuts down because they can't figure out how to spend their money, which is our money, by the way, we're not allowed to go there. But illegal aliens that are invading our country and taking over are now allowed to camp there whenever they want. So the House Committee on Natural Resources has actually put out a press release saying this isn't good. So they led a committee oversight hearing. They did a bunch of talking. It doesn't change anything, but basically here is their press release. Since Joe Biden took office, there have been more than 6 million illegal crossings of the southern border of the United States. Many of these immigrants travel to self-identified sanctuary cities across the country, including New York City. Indeed, more than 100,000 migrants have arrived in New York City since the spring of 2022. New York City has an additional layer of complexity as they have a right to shelter law, which requires all persons, regardless of their legal status, to be provided with shelter and food paid for by the city. I bet you there's a lot of people living in cardboard boxes that would have liked to have known that. Biden's failed border policies and the resultant migrant crisis are overwhelming New York City. Notably, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, a Democrat, recently made national news by stating that the Biden administration's current immigration policies will destroy the city. Last week, several Republican members attempted to visit the central processing facility for migrants arriving in New York City in order to learn about the housing problems facing a city that's already at max capacity. Isn't it amazing how such a gigantic, rich city can whine about less than a tenth of the people that are flooding teeny tiny little border towns?
Mm-hmm.
And they're acting like, oh, we can't take it. It's like, okay, have you talked to people in El Paso? Because that's a small town. That's
yeah,
a
relatively
tiny, and there's
speaking.
even smaller.
Yeah.
The facility has become so overcrowded that many migrants have resorted to sleeping on the street. Despite requesting access days in advance, the members of Congress were denied entry and told no one was allowed inside, even though a Democrat delegation was given a full tour on Friday, September 15th.
Surprise.
I wonder why. In an effort to house the ballooning number of migrants in New York City, city officials turned to the National Park Service Gateway National Recreation Area, specifically a site in Brooklyn known as Floyd Bennett Field. Ooh, I've been there. In an unprecedented decision, the city has entered into lease agreements with the NPS to permit the construction of a migrant encampment at Floyd Bennett Field.
Is this temporary?
National park. Is this temporary? You're
I'm
cute.
not asking. Okay, I'm maybe I need to rephrase that.
You're cute.
Are they saying it's temporary?
No, I don't think so. Republican members visited this proposed site and saw firsthand that it's an incredible resource for New York City residents and visitors, providing kayaking, fishing, and other outdoor recreation opportunities in the middle of an urban area. Turning the Gateway National Recreation Area into a migrant camp would immediately cut off the access New York City residents have enjoyed for years. Not to mention that they'll trash it because they trash everything everywhere they go. Nobody gets to see the videos, but they're out there if you go looking for them, of what it looks like when those caravans pass through a town.
Mm-hmm.
They are like reverse locust. They destroy everything and leave a bunch of garbage behind. This hearing was a chance for elected officials from the NYC area to voice their concerns and give members of the committee the opportunity to understand how this hasty and damaging decision was made. Notably, administration failed to send any witnesses to testify to defend their decision to turn units of the national park system into migrant camps. So even the national park system is like, guys, nah. And the government's like, talk to the paw. They won't even send a representative. And they were worried that the evil orange man would be a dictator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Electric vehicle trip fiasco? I know nothing about this. She has
I
really
didn't
pretty
either.
eyes.
Let's have a look.
Jennifer Granholm, U.S.
Yeah,
Secretary
Granholm.
of Energy.
Yeah. So this is about
She
her.
looks like she just got shocked by her own car.
The House Oversight Committee is commencing a probe into Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm's summer road trip in an electric vehicle, which gained attention after charging issues led to a family calling the police on staff who were blocking a charging outlet for the official.
Eh?
Yeah, because it's an official, she wanted them to make sure that they had access to a charging station, even if they didn't arrive on.
Is this one of those "Do you know who I am" moments?
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
In order to understand the purposes, costs, and consequences of Granholm's road trip, Oversight Chairman James Comer of Kentucky, Republican, and Energy Subcommittee Chairman Pat Fulton, also Republican from Texas, asked the agency on Tuesday for documents pertaining to her travels from North Carolina to Tennessee. The letter focuses the investigation on an NPR piece that detailed the drive's difficulties. This is the best part. The taxpayer-funded publicity stunt illustrates yet again how out of touch the Biden administration is with the consequences of policies it has unleashed on everyday Americans, the letter reads. Committee Republicans remain committed to preserving freedoms like vehicle customer choice in the face of an unproven, burdensome, and expensive Biden administration push to force all Americans to buy EVs, electric vehicles.
Which are basically coal-powered pieces of junk that end up in landfills.
And
With-
do exactly the opposite of what they're purported
that
to
pollute
do.
way worse than
Yeah.
regular cars do, because they've got a bunch of heavy metals and toxic chemicals, all of which come from China, by the way.
Yeah. After receiving a request for comment from the Washington Examiner, the Department of Energy declined to indicate if it would cooperate with Oversight's investigation. Blah, blah,
Of course,
blah.
they declined.
The purpose of Granholm's trip was to highlight the billions that the Biden administration has invested in EVs and related infrastructure. But as soon as Granholm's own team saw the difficulties of operating electric vehicles, the message was quickly forgotten.
Of course.
Her crew tried parking a non-electric vehicle right beside an EV charger to reserve the spot for the energy secretary after realizing there were not enough charging stations to go around.
You don't get to save seats.
That's
what
what I...
like from kindergarten, man.
Yeah, I'm done.
And why are
The result was that a traveling family with a very young child was prevented from using the charger. However, the family noticed their staff's blockage tactics and quickly called the police to report them for hogging the charging station. Good.
with a non-EV? That's what. So it's just like a booty juice, having like a caravan of big gas guzzling vehicles to drop him off so that he can ride his bicycle for 20 feet for the photo ops.
Right.
It's
Yes, indeed.
the same thing. These people are fake. They're so fake.
Yeah.
All right. We got a couple more stories. We're going to wrap up here soon, but we're going to go a little bit long just because we're almost done.
Okay. It's cool.
All right. Democrat Judge Eddie Trevino Jr. tabled the disruption of donations raised for a police department located in Brownsville, Texas, another one of those teeny tiny border towns, following a cleanup of the border town. The funds were raised by John Rourke, the owner of Blue Line Moving and founder of We Fund the Blue Foundation and the Great American Cleanup. We Fund the Blue Foundation and the Great American Cleanup help clean up the mess left by illegals in border towns. We were just talking about this. The organization also provides disaster relief to areas across the country impacted by natural and man-made disasters. Sounds like they're pretty cool organization. Following a cleanup, the nonprofit raises funds to support, honor, and recognize the local law enforcement community. Cool. Following their work in Brownsville, We Fund the Blue donated $15,000 to Precinct 1 in Texas to honor the officers who spent 2 days alongside other volunteers in the heat and hazardous conditions to clean up Joe Biden's border mess. Oh, I'm glad they just said it. Before funds can be accepted by the department, however, the distribution must be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. Texas Judge Eddie Trevino Jr. turned this generous gesture into a partisan issue by moving to table the distribution of the funds and attacking the motives of the organization and the officers who generously donated their time. Constable Esquivel appeared before the board to request approval and shared that the funds would be used to obtain additional equipment and other necessities for his department. Rather than celebrate the hard work of officers cleaning up his border area, Trevino Jr. was combative and politically divisive, attacking We Fund the Blue Foundation's donation as political and moved to table the distribution. That's what happens when you allow libtards to have the purse strings. Rourke recently spoke before the county commissioners and had harsh words for the disgusting and disrespectful way Constable Esquivel was treated, which for some reason is spelled with a D and not a T, by Judge Trevino. I guess treaded? I don't know. Thank you for having me on. The reason why I'm enjoying this conversation is because I just kind of want to clear the air about the Great American Cleanup and what we do and why we do it. This is my fourth cleanup, Brownsville, Texas. The previous 3 being in inner city Baltimore, where we picked up 26 tons of trash of the inner city of Baltimore. The Eastern District 20 blocks, 2 gentlemen overdosed. We saved their lives with Narcan in the streets of Baltimore. I did see that video. Eagle Pass, Del Rio, Texas, both of these cleanups cleaned up tons, and Eagle Pass, they're still under, they are being overwhelmed, like thousands and thousands of people, and most of them aren't even from South America. Most of them are from Africa. Little war-torn Africa that they have to seek refuge here. Both of those cleanups cleaned up tons and tons of trash, donated $10,000 to the Valverde County Sheriff's Department and the Maverick County Sheriff's Department, both Democrat sheriffs. Then Brownsville, Texas, where we were able to raise $15,000 and donate it straight to Precinct 1. Constable Esquivel did an amazing job out there, and we collected 21,240 pounds of trash down by the golf course, Fort Brown area there. So the reason why I'm here, honestly, is to stand up for the constable. This is a man where we have our political leaders at this time always wanting more from the police, wanting more community policing, more police officers doing the right thing, being involved in their community and giving back, and this is exactly what this officer did. He was out there with his officers, 107-degree weather, 2 days in a row, picking up 21,240 pounds of trash, and I believe that is what every law enforcement agency should look to do when they are trying to get involved in their community. And frankly, what happened the last time he stood in front of the commissioner's court was disrespectful. The way that you spoke to that officer wasn't becoming of a county judge, and I think he deserves an apology. He was spoken to like he was a criminal. He should have been congratulated. And this goes for all the commissioners that were sitting next to you. None of them butted in and none of them interrupted and said, hey, wait a minute, maybe we should try thanking him for what he did. Regardless of if you believe it is a political cleanup or whatever it was, that doesn't mean anything. Why do they make everything political? But people go out there and they volunteer their time and they clean up something. Why aren't they celebrated? Why are they so small and frustrated that they can't even...
Maybe he got a parking ticket that day. You don't know.
Well, I see this over and over again because there's several organizations out there that go out and clean up areas, and the residents are thrilled. And the left is always like, oh, it was political, oh, it was political. You know what? Getting off your stupid ass and doing something for someone else is political, then call me political. Maybe you should consider it. Maybe you should consider doing something other than whining on social media or insulting people. Maybe you should get off your blue dyed hair butts and actually do something for society outside of sterilizing and mutilating children. Maybe you should actually do something good for a change instead of complaining about those who do. The facts are the facts. We cleaned up tons and tons, 10.6 tons of trash. I know you said you wanted this to be done. Why didn't you do a beach cleanup? Because the way America works is I'll clean up where I want to clean up, and that's how it works here, okay? If I want to clean up a beach, I'll go clean up a beach. But this wasn't a beach cleanup, Judge. This was a border cleanup. And for good reason, I'm sure you're aware of. I'm not sure of any other beaches that exist where we're going to pick up 10.6 tons of trash. So I demand an apology to the constable. I think the way you acted was unprofessional, and we shouldn't do that to our elected officials. We should stand up for police officers that do the right thing. And this is a police officer that does the right thing time and time again, and he deserves respect, and that's all I have to say.
He did go back on it, if I understand correctly. And, not the judge, anyway. But anyway, it was to say it was in
The
poor
motion
taste.
to distribute the funds was indeed finally carried. And Constable Escoville will now be able to purchase necessities for his department.
Which he should have been able to do to begin with.
What a jerk. Anyways, that was a good speech. Very good speech. I do appreciate that. Very, very much.
So, this is a thing. This is from, I guess, our fine government, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Boy, that's a bunch of syllables.
Yeah, but look at it's CISA.
Uh-huh.
They just added an S to the CIA. That's all they did. They just added an S to the CIA.
But isn't the CIA the Central Intelligence?
Uh-huh. Read what these people, what the role is, and then tell me this isn't just the
CISA reduces risk to U.S. critical infrastructure by building resilience to foreign influence operations and disinformation. Through these efforts, CISA helps the American people understand the scope and scale of these activities targeting election infrastructure. I get it now.
In other words, it's a censorship board.
Well, at least they're open about it now.
Now, keep in mind, we are reading directly from their website.
Their website. No, this is their official
Didn't even
government
archive
website.
it. This is the live cybersecurity and infrastructure security. Wait, cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency. So literally, the Department of Redundancy Department.
The guiding principles. Guiding principles for addressing risk from foreign influence operations and disinformation include the protection of privacy, free speech, and civil liberties by making sure you don't have any of those. CISA works with its privacy office and Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties to ensure these principles are reflected in all its activities.
All right, so you get the idea.
I get the idea.
You get the idea.
Jeez
yeah.
Louise.
Like I said, they just added an S to the CIA.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay then, bye now.
Okay, so this is a thing. Congratulations, we have another. Well, at least it's not a 3-letter acronym.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how Jim makes me cry.
You didn't hear me wickedly going earlier.
Here on Counterculture Wise, we may rant, we may rave, but most of all, we go against the current culture because we believe, to the core of our beings, that humans are good and the world is an amazing and beautiful place. At the beginning of our show, we give you news of the weird and wonderful, but that is just the tip of the magnificent iceberg that is our world. We now present news of the wonderfuller. All right, let's see how Jim makes me cry this week. A Huron High School senior. Let me clear my throat so I can cry appropriately. A Huron High School senior who was unable to attend her much-anticipated homecoming. Really, Jim? Due to a recent brain surgery, received a heartwarming surprise when the hospital staff brought the homecoming festivities to her. Really, with the brain surgery, Jim? Last Friday, donning a dazzling pink dress and accompanied by her father, Megan Crafty experienced the joy of homecoming night within the hospital walls. Her boyfriend, Tommy, brought her a pink rose and matching corsage. They're both adorable. Megan's love for Christmas was not overlooked by the caring staff at the Cleveland Clinic, who went above and beyond to make the event truly special. They decorated the gym in a Christmas theme. It was all about her. It was called Ho Ho Homecoming. And I think we were all just surprised at the care they put into the whole event. That's her mother talking. The hospital staff ensured that Megan had the chance to experience those treasured moments she had been looking forward to, including sharing a dance with Tommy on the hospital's dance floor. The heartwarming event came after Megan's recent brain surgery, during which doctors successfully removed 70% of a glioma tumor the size of a golf ball. Exact same thing my mom had. The community rallied around Megan during her recovery, showing unwavering support. I hope it's not a blastoma. In a touching display of unity and encouragement, the Huron Police and Fire Department, the high school's football and volleyball teams, neighbors, friends, Megan's entire family, and the Huron School marching band lined the streets, cheering for her as she made her way back home Wednesday afternoon. You're a jerk.
No,
And there's video just in case you haven't started crying yet. Oh,
it's very sweet.
It's really sweet. It's very, very sweet. I'll watch the video offline so you don't hear me crying during our show. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our show this evening. I know I certainly enjoyed spending time.
We're going to have a very special anniversary celebration to talk about on our next show.
Anniversary celebration. Yes, every year one must happen.
Yes.
Wait till you say why. All right, so tune in next week and we'll have some fun looking back on some of the goings on and how things have come together. We don't want to tell you too much because we want you to tune in and enjoy. So, enjoy your week. I hope your toilet's flush because ours doesn't.
So
we're off to a Motel 6
room
with the dogs.
I was wondering if we should bring that up.
Yeah,
anyway.
because we happen to live in a place where a plumber should be humiliated for not being able to unclog a toilet. Literally had a plumber come out and he couldn't unclog the toilet. So we are staying at a Motel 6 up the road, and hopefully we'll have a bathroom because we haven't had one all week. Hopefully we'll get a bathroom on Monday. So guys, we don't ask for prayers very often, and this is a weird thing to ask you to pray for, but please pray for our toilet. I really want to sleep in my own bed again.
Please pray for our old friend Glubby.
And I hope you have a much better week than we've had. God bless, and we will see you next week.
Counterculture-Wise is a Stormcat production.
Thank you for joining our growing family of listeners. All links from the show are available on our website, counterculturewise.com. Find our archives on any of your favorite podcast hosts.
We engage in satire, commentary, and generally laugh at the ridiculousness of our crumbling society. Our only medical or financial advice is to not follow any financial or medical advice given by podcasters.
Our animations, interviews, Holy Crap segment, and other videos are put out on BitChute and Rumble, and only in part on YouTube because they hate free speech.
Our show is entirely funded by listeners like you. Visit our ever-expanding merch store or our Subscribe Star, where you can get outtakes, extra videos, and sneak peeks.
If you would like to be a guest on our program, feel free to contact us via our website. Just click on the link at the top that says, Be a Guest on Our Show.
For more fun and cat pics, please visit our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. For complaints about our show, please fill out the ID10T form on our website, and we will give it the attention it deserves.
Meanwhile, no matter how cruel the world may be around you, always remember the importance of kindness. Be kind to each other, be kind to animals, and be kind to yourself. See you next week.